Bienvenidos al podcast con ruedas. En este programa escucharás a diferentes personas hablar sobre lo que es ser una persona con discapacidad. Aquí no hay barreras. Aquí cortamos estigmas y son pláticas de vida real. Bienvenidos al podcast con ruedas. Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast with Reels. And I'm very excited because today's guest is a person that I've known for a very long time. He's an advocate, he's a rapper, he's also known as Four Wheels on the Mic, but his real name, his government name, is Dominic Harper. Dominic, how are you?
Hey man, Leo, I'm doing good, bro. Like I'm blessed to be here, blessed to be up, feeling good today. Each every day we get up and keep it moving is the day that we win, and even if our bodies kind of not feeling the greatest, you know what I'm saying? So we got to keep it moving, keep it thugging, you know what I'm saying? Always and forever, moving forward.
Dominic, I'm so excited to have you. I have to share a little bit of a story. This man and I graduated from the same high school, but we are from different areas. You know, he graduated a little bit later than I did, but we went to the same high school.
Yeah,
Truman High School.
I was a generation. I'm a couple generations before you.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
it's really cool to like yeah, when I first met Leo, he looked at me, he said, "So you're the guy everybody talks about, huh?" And I was already out of high school and into college and doing all types of stuff. But I always liked his drive, you know what I'm saying? I respected his swag and the way he moved himself around, and he was really about that, trying to get into the movement. So now to see him have something like this, it warms my heart, you know what I'm saying, as a
Yeah,
as
yeah.
a
Can I
fellow
can I
disabled
talk about
person.
that a little bit for our audience? When I first met
And
Dominic, I was over at the Career Center in Taylor, and he came and spoke, to the whole class, and he looked at me and he said, "You got something. You just gotta find out what it is. I see something in you." And I didn't have a podcast at that time. Um, but, thanks to people like him, I created a platform like this. So, Dominic, enough hearing from me. We want to hear from you. Tell us a little bit about your life story, how Dominic became to be Dominic, and then we'll go from there.
oh man, like I grew up Southwest Detroit, River Rouge, downriver area. Um, your typical, your typical black man sort of story. But the only untypical thing about it is I happen to have CP and being like I'm 35 years old, so I'm as old as the Americans with Disabilities Act. So my whole world around me had to slowly adapt to me as I grew, and that was kind of interesting because things aren't things are better than they were, but they're still going. We're still fighting for different types of rights and different types of changes now, and to really see the world evolve, to see my own community evolve, like in the neighborhood, being like getting curb cuts in and stuff like that, made it more independent. And I was pretty much like your average, kid where it was like I still hung out with the neighborhood kids and but I couldn't get active, you know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't a lot of accessibility. So I spent a lot of time, you know, doing what all disabled people do. We kind of like we long to be a part of something, but I've always been an outsider as well. So it wouldn't have really meshed well with who I really am in my core. So that was an interesting adjustment growing up, learning how to adapt with that. Um, my my family was really big on independence, like coming from, and you might even understand this coming from your background as well. But for me, my family were realists, so it wasn't that they told me that I couldn't do something because I was disabled. They'd be like, listen, you got to figure out how to do it because the world isn't built for us. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so you have to maneuver a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So uh, I learned a lot of that. And when I was in grade school, through the POHI program, like yourself, a little bit, I, they were big on advocating early. You know, a lot of the teachers that we had were early ADA supporters and advocates, and they
Yeah.
believed in that. So, I had to use skills that I was blessed with, and I'm happy that my CP came out the way it did. Everybody is different, but I was able to utilize my voice to help the others that, might not have been able to vocalize or, have the courage at the time to vocalize. I've always been a guy that's been like, all right, fuck that. Like, at some point in my brain, there's always a fuck it moment where it's like, I gotta do it, or, nobody else will. So, as begrudgingly as I, would not want to be, I've been told my whole life I needed to be an advocate and all this other things, and I was like, nah, son, I just wanna, be a radio host and draw comics and stuff and all types of stuff. But realistically, the universe has a way of putting you in the position that you need to be in, regardless if you want to be in it or not. So that's that's one thing or another for sure. That's like the short of it. But if you want more deep insight into my early childhood and life, I have a podcast as well called The Four Wheels and a Mic podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's on Spotify and Apple through the Dystopia podcast.
Mhm.
Shout out to everybody at Disart that supported me for that. And yeah.
Yeah. It's good to hear. Good to hear, Dominic. I love your story every time I hear it. Um, I've run into you a couple of times, but I never got to really listen to your story in depth. Like I said, you went to the career center when I was over there, and you went and talked to us, and it was really cool for you to do that. Were there any struggles with you as a teenager or maybe as a young adult where you were like, why me? Why all this stuff happened to me? Typical teenager
Um
stuff.
oh man, that's an everyday battle with disability. That's not even just a teenage thing, but I can say um there's three types of disabled people in this world. You know, you either become super religious, an atheist, or you find some form of spirituality and try to accept who the hell you are. And I fall into the spirituality person. Um, I feel like everybody says why me, like it's a very human thing to say why me and why is this, and but being disabled is a very isolating sometimes experience for most people. See, I was lucky to be a part of the POHI program, to be a part of this community that kids and we all grew up having a disability. We might not have had the same disabilities, but we went through this disabled experience together in some shape, form, or fashion. I think the why me's come a lot when it's the well, I won't quote unquote call it normal because there's no such thing as normal, but the typical life shit that adults go through. Some of those experiences we don't get the luxury of having right away. We might be a
Mm-hmm.
little back in that way, right? But we're more forward in the other ways because we've experienced hardships that older adults will go through because when you get older, your body breaks down. You have to have existence and this and that and the other. So we learn how to kind of accept that part of it sometimes, and it's a harder pill to swallow when you've been coddled by the world. See, I never really was coddled by the world. The world never was very coddly to me. I had a very loving family that told me the honest truth. And so with that being said, it it shapes a little bit different, right? I grew up in the hood just like I said, I'm a typical dude from the D sort of, so it's like I there's lots of shit both ways that I can say like, yeah, I always looked at my disability by the time I was a teenager as a blessing because a lot of my friends in my neighborhood going to jail, shooting, drugs, and the typical vices of the area, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to holler at girls. I wanted to be on the corner too with everybody, cause shit, 50 Cent came out. This is a certain period of time when everybody was kind of outside, as they would say, right?
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
I could only be outside so much because I was in a power chair at the time. So you can't just hang out extra late because you got to charge your chair. You can't do any illegal activity really because you're just a big ass witness. You know what I'm saying? It's like big dudes, and then it's all these people, and then it's the dude in the wheelchair that everybody can point out, right? Like it's that,
Yeah.
right? But the beauty of that was I wasn't peer pressured to do anything that I didn't want to do. I didn't get involved in, super crazy illegal shit. Um, I was a typical teenager. Like I'm gonna say everybody's a pretty typical teenager. But like the blessing was the wheelchair was a blessing because it kept me on a certain path and I got to experience things in my world that other people in my environment wouldn't be able to experience or even get the opportunity to. Um, so that was interesting. And my mom loved the fact that I was in a wheelchair when I was in my teens because she knew where I was at. You know what I'm saying? Like she knew where I was
Yeah.
at. She knew what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of
Mhm.
cool. I don't mind it. But like, yeah, there's times like even now as an adult going into college, when I went to college, when I lived on my own, like I've been trying to have relationships and have sex and dates and all these other things that, we all do, but we have to overcome ourselves, not our disability, because we don't overcome our disability, we accept it. But we have to get out of our own way and be comfortable with ourselves to experience some of the things that other people probably take for granted.
Mhm.
And that's the biggest lesson as a older man now, that like I always have new things that I need to work on. And it's never a full acceptance of the disability. But once you get to a point of, yeah, this is who I am, B. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is who I am, Leo. Like, you know, you
Yeah.
Leo. You know what I'm saying? You just roll. You just a dude in a chair. Like you just roll around. You got some people to help you out. All these things, right? You're still Leo. You're still a
Yeah.
man that wants to be understood, loved, and appreciated.
Of
So
course. Yeah.
how how we need to internalize that, because we got to battle internalized ableism, the ableism of the world, all these things, they come into play in your development. But once you start finding, whatever in your community, whatever makes you feel accepted to yourself, it's kind of like coming out the closet for people that are gay. Like I've always equated that, and I asked people that are gay or whatever identified on the LGBTQ, you know spectrum,
Mhm.
um, is it similar? And I'm like, yeah, it has to be sort of because you're accepting who you are.
Mhm. That's what I always tell people too all the time. It's like when you accept the wheelchair, not necessarily the wheelchair, but the disability, that teaches you how to like, okay, I'm obviously not gonna get out of my wheelchair, so what can I do to maneuver and accomplish the things that I want to do?
How do you adapt? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
that's all I was taught as a kid. Like my mom
yeah,
and my grandma and my family, this period was like, yo, Life is gonna be 3 times harder. You black in America and disabled. Like, bro, like you gotta figure some shit. You smart enough to just figure it out. And
Mm-hmm.
it comes with a lot of acceptance of yourself and also knowing your strengths and weaknesses and figuring out how to utilize those the best way possible to achieve what you want.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you're a perfect example. I want to get into a little bit about, because you said in the beginning of the episode, you said I wasn't really planning to be an advocate. I wanted to write comic books and do my own thing because I never pictured myself being an advocate. What was the moment where you were like, okay, now I can become an advocate for people?
I never wanted to, Leo. Like that's the thing. I told you this when I first met you, and I'm gonna keep saying it. And it's just the honest truth. I was always born. I was always a born leader. My thing about advocating was I was like, I'm sick of talking about my disability. I'm sick of being, you know, fuck the system all the time. Like that's not, you know what I'm saying? Like I was naturally that. Like I was born into what I am. But I will say the moment that made me accept it was getting to a point when I was living on my own and really, really independently, with staff and stuff, living on my own. And I started noticing that your generation was a little more timid than mine. And I was like, I can't, how the fuck is this possible? Because when I graduated, all of us were kind of angry advocate gimps. You know what I'm saying? Crips, you know what I'm saying? Like people that were disabled, we were all angry, like we were all angsty teens and angry, like oh we're gonna be a part of that. Fuck what they say. You say we can't get in there, then build a ramp or something. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
that's
of
how we
course.
were.
Uh
So
huh.
to meet your generation and kind of be comfortable and smiley, I'm like, this ain't how the world works. Be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So it didn't seem the younger generation didn't make me want to be an advocate, but it made me go, okay, I gotta put all the shit that I don't care about, like the shit that I feel kind of hung up about on the disability side of things, and I have to think about the next generation.
Mhm.
Just like with the civil rights movement, just like with any other social movement, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this is the foundation of it.
Mhm. So you were kind of like, I don't, I advocate. You're supposed. What I was always taught is that you're supposed to advocate for yourself regardless, whether you want to go to these conferences or not. That's what I was always taught. And I get what you're saying. Like I was already advocating for somebody that told me to go ahead and advocate.
Yeah, like I was already advocating, but I hate always being the person that got to do it. Like out of my generation and friend group, I'm the crip that will be like, hey, let me get up in there. Hey, fuck, what you doing? And then they build that camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? You have to build that confidence within yourself too, as a person with any disability, visible or not, to be like, fuck it. Here's what we gotta do. And there's a lot of things in the disabled community because every disability has a different culture, has a different vibe. Like blind people don't consider them like deaf people don't consider themselves a part of the disabled movement sometimes because they have a way of speaking and maneuvering around the world. Blind people kind of feel similar sometimes, but not always. Like it's just a very mixed bag of nuts, in the sense of everybody has a different flavor and a different perspective on how they see disability, and that kind of is the problem right now, but not the problem. Like we just need unity all around in the sense of finding one common thing. And I think that's just where the marriage and the, trying to buy a house shit now, because the ADA helped us go to school, helped us get into places, and the 504 helps us with education and all these other things. So like you gotta just kind of look at it like it's a progression. You are the what I call the second generation of freedom, right? Like I was kind of the first generation that felt freedom. The people before me fought for me to get the help in schools and the ADA put out there. Now I utilized that, went on to go to school, went on to experience this very human, you know, more accessible experience.
Mm-hmm.
But now people like me got to think about, we need more staff and we need to pay staff right, because now we're
Mm-hmm.
living on our own more often. Our there's not much research on CP past 18. When you have cerebral palsy, at least, and you're seeing like now our bodies are changing at 30 and at these certain points because the other generation was worried about transportation. And a lot of the things that they're worried about still need to be fixed, but they're not the main focal point anymore. And
Well,
that's
yeah.
kind of the problem with the movement. Sometimes we're still stuck on things like transportation and employment, which are good things to always fight for. And but like there's more to that, right? So everybody has their passion project, their passion flight.
Yep, yep, and you gotta keep fighting. This is over. This is not a. This is not a battle that's gonna end up ending overnight. Anyway, Dominic, I want to ask you, because you said you don't like really talking about advocacy, so let's put that aside. You do a lot
Oh,
more.
I do.
You do?
It's just yeah, I do like talking about advocacy. I just don't see. I'm always put in that position, so I don't. It's
Yeah.
more of an annoyance, but I know you feel that too, because once you get put in that position enough, you're like, all right,
Hey,
we're
who's gonna be the next person to speak up?
yeah, 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 facts.
But
That's
I
it.
want But I want to get into the stuff that you do outside of advocacy. What I mean is, you're a rapper. Your name is Four Wheels. How did you get into that? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh man, so hip hop is just in my blood, like for real. My pops is an MC, and I love music, period. Like I love all types of music. I wanted to start a punk band before I was rapping and all types of stuff. So I felt like punk bands, you could scream at people, and I could take that aggression that I felt from my disability and that angsty feeling I had, as a disabled person, and all that frustration you got built up sometimes, because we're all unique, so it's very hard, especially at the time, there wasn't there wasn't a Dominic that I could look at like you could look at me and be like, yo, this dude said I can go fucking do it. I'm gonna run into, I'm gonna break down these barriers and I'm gonna fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? So there wasn't lots of people that I could look for because they didn't talk about a Judy Human and all the people that fought for the Americans with disabilities. That wasn't very common knowledge. You have to be in a certain circle, and once we get there, it becomes common. But just growing up the way I did, my role models was Professor X from the X-Men and like, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, like Geronimo, people that fought against the government and really said, thumb their nose at the powers that be and wanted change, and peace and all that stuff. So like for me with rapping though, it was just a natural thing. It was a way for me because I went to my counselor. I was like 10 years old and I was clinically diagnosed with clinical depression, which most people in the disabled community would we probably all fall into that category somewhat. And I remember talking to my counselor about how I liked like the Gorillas album and like how I like, you know, Dale was my fate. Dale the Funkadelic Homo Sapien, which is a very good rapper. If you ever want to check him out, he's a nerdy rapper. Like he's like a dude that raps about like spaceships and like other strange, you know, different things. So I remember being like, I can't be a rapper. You gotta be like, I used to think you had to be from like the thugged out, like out there doing, you know, gangster
Yeah.
shit. Cause you know,
Yeah.
at the time it was like Snoop, Pac, Biggie, you know, the big names. And I remember being getting into underground and being like, I found out that like most underground rappers were big vocabulary nerds like I was, and you know, into different things. And I remember my counselor was telling me like to let my stuff out. I could just freestyle because I used to do it anyway. Like I used to
Mhm.
always kind of freestyle in my downtime, like it was a game. And plus, like when you got to middle school, it's how I got girls to kind of notice me, right? Everything
Mhm.
goes back to women with most of, you know, the straight male population. I think would be you do something for the attention for the ladies, right? And probably for the same for people with same sex is probably the same thing. Like you know, it's the same thing. Like everybody does attention to somebody they want to get to know better, right?
Yeah.
In an intimate way. So I picked up that skill, but what happened around the time of middle school though, so about like, you know, maybe 3 more years of me practicing rapping, was, you know, 8 Mile came out. So it was like, oh, Detroit had a resurgence of like cats battling in lunchrooms and and you know, getting real nice. And so I grew up, my dad rapping, my stepdad raps, you know what I'm saying? Other people, everybody around me was just musical. But I didn't pick rap because I wanted to be a rapper. I picked rap because it was just something to get. It's more of a therapeutic release for me, right? Because
Yeah.
as a man and as a black man, just like I came from a multicultural background, my grandma's Native American and Mexican, like granddad's old school black dude, rest in peace. And so, like, you know, there's a lot of machismo, you know, bound up energy as a physically disabled man, because men in society are only looked at as physical producers. You know, like, what
Mhm.
can you
Yeah.
do to physically produce? So you got a lot of rage with this mind, and but this body don't match the mind, right? So
Mhm.
I had to find a way to vocalize it, and hip hop was a way for me to make lots of friends. You know, I can say this, um, starting rapping, just living my life. By 13, I wanted to be a DJ because you know I didn't really want to be a rapper when I first started out. I want to be a DJ. DJs get are the best. Like if you think about it, like DJs rock the party. Who rocks the
Mhm.
party better than a DJ? Not a lot of people. So my cousin was the rapper and I was the DJ, and I went by four. My mom and my dad gave me the name Four Wheels and a Mic as a joke, you know. But it was a dope DJ name. Like you could DJ Four Wheels and a Mic. Like think about it. Dude rolls up on a
Yeah.
turntable. He's just rolling up
Yes.
in his chair and he's doing a mic. So it's self-explanatory. I got from out of high school. The minute I left high school, my only thing I was saying to myself was I go to college, but I have to live life. Because I feel like a lot of us never get a chance to really explore life. We're very contained in our bubbles and we like to be in our bubbles and, you know, that. And I said, I can't live my life like that. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do, once again, fuck it's my favorite word when it's motivation. And I decided to do this. So I started putting out freestyle videos on my MySpace. Ooh, I sound old as hell. Um, and 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 so most people knew me from rapping in high school, middle school, but like really taking it seriously was like 18 because I got bored of hearing the crap that was on the radio because I was such a underground hip hop head. And so I just started rapping, but happens to be that like I was a disabled MC that just kind of, I was kind of rapping from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Cause one thing is I gotta be real. I'm always myself, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Four Wheels is just an exaggerated uh version of a crippled MC, like exaggerated version of me. So if if I say like I'm a smack, if somebody steps in the line, I might smack you and run your feet over at times. Like that's just that's what I'm feeling when people are bunting in the crowd, like whatever, and that's how everybody feels some type of way. And so that was cool. I think the biggest problem I faced in hip hop so far is one, not all studios are accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, two, people have the same misconception about disabilities and people with disabilities. So I have to prove, like, it's kind of a prove 'em wrong until, you know what I'm saying? I want to break that misconception for people like you. I want
Yeah.
to break for the next generation. And I've met a lot of disabled MCs. Now, do I feel like I'm nicer than most of them? Oh yeah, I could probably sweep the forward, like I can hold my own with a non-disabled MC. Like you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it has nothing to do with it. But I want I had to also accept the part of my disability where it was like I have to figure out how to tour better. I'm still trying to figure out how to make money off of things without losing my social security. I still have to think of all these things and carry a regular job maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like this is not something that I would tell everybody to do, and I don't want to be like some inspirational porn shit for like regular people to feel better about their life. Like no, I'm here just to say my truth, and if it helps people of any type get through, but if it really helps the next disabled kid be like, that's fucking cool, and they can go off and do whatever the fuck they want to do because they're motivated because they see me do some cool shit, right? That's plain and simple.
Yeah.
Like that's it. But like MCing though, like the whole movement, I've never really gotten a lot of flack from the underground of hip hop. Really, I did face some new stuff. Maybe like this last couple of years, getting further in the game of like certain people's prejudices or like misconceptions,
Yeah.
and like me having to prove myself, and I had to catch myself because there was a moment where went back to the older version of me where I was like, oh, y'all not gonna let me in here, well I'm gonna show you, that. And I was like, that's just too much energy, man. Go where you love, don't go where you're not loved when it comes to like shit you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also
Exactly.
make sure you're breaking down those barriers. Like I always make sure I'm breaking down a barrier, even if
Mm-hmm.
it's like I said, there's many disabled MCs. There's a lot of good ones out there. Shout out to MF Grimm. He's a guy that acquired a disability later on. Blind Fury's dope. The Odd Squad, I don't know where the fuck they're. They're probably smoking too much weed. That's probably why they stopped doing. But that's a whole squad of disabled dope MCs of all different types. And like there is a movement, but I haven't seen somebody do it like how I do it in the way
Yeah.
that I want to do it. So I know there's a lane for me, and I'm just staying in my lane, doing my thing as Four Wheels. So
I
that's what I'm about.
I have to say that me being a big hip hop fan as well, I'm a huge hip hop.
Mm.
It warms my heart to see somebody. You don't look like me, but we move in a similar way because we have a disability. It warms my heart to see someone like you uh, go into that lane of music because I love it so much.
Well, hip hop is an inviting spot, man. Like I've met some of my favorite MCs from the underground. I've rapped for some Wu-Tang people. I've rapped for some people that like if you're a real hip hop head, you'll be like, oh shit, and what I've gotten is keep doing what I'm doing. I have got the haters that said like, oh, whatever, bro, it was okay, whatever. I do in the wheelchair will never. But like for me, that's not like a deterrent. It's just like, yo, I just gotta punch people in the face with these bars a little bit better. Like, I gotta break down these walls with these bars a little bit better. Like, that's my thing. Like, and you got, and I still have to adapt and adjust because with CP, my biggest problem is breath control. So I can't be the when I do the mics, I have to figure out ways around it, which I've done, and I'm getting better every time. Like I'm always
Yeah.
improving on my skills. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep, I see you. I've seen your videos, and that's why I say like this dude can really rap, and he's representing all of us. And I know you said you talked about my generation and your generation getting a little bit comfortable. I have to say, and not because you're here well, you're not really here, but you're here virtually with me. I look at you as almost like a guru of hip hop. You mentioned a bunch of rappers like Tupac. I see you as Tupac of of the wheelchair generation.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
And
I
and
mean,
that
I've been,
and then there's like the rest of us. I feel like we're almost like a MC record label, and you're the head of the record label. You know what I'm saying?
I feel, yeah, like I look at myself like an MF Doom or like a J Dilla. Like this one of them
Yeah.
underground dudes that you're gonna either get motivated by or you're not gonna, it might not be your cup of tea to hear about how like I'm angry that I have to piss in a urinal today and my bladder doesn't work the right way. But I'm also feeling like if the government takes one more if I have to fill out more paperwork to tell you that I'm disabled and I want to smack the shit out you, like these are the frustrations and things I rap about sometimes. Like I do rap about everyday people's things. I do rap about the common man struggle. I do speak from a lot of open, but like my disability bars are in there. They do get in there. There's
Yeah, you can hear him,
me. There's
of course.
you know what I'm saying. So it's it's really um uh it's really validating when I speak to a man like yourself and I go, because there's times I be thinking like, bro, I could wrap this up, be like I'm 35, like what am I doing? Like my body hurts. I can't stay out all night. Like like it's different when you get a disability and you're like everybody ages, but for us it's like double the time sometimes, and
Mhm.
it's like, what am I doing, man? Can I just like school was good. I did college for a while, and I have a learning disability, and I adapted with that, and I've improved where I was weakest at. But like I sat in school, I never forget this. After my mom died, I sat in school, and I was like, man, I'm like 27 years old. I won't be graduating until I'm like 35 because I'm taking one to two classes at a time. And I was like, man, they're offering me this advocacy to speak and really help the homies after me. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I was like, I might as well do it then, cause at least they paying me. You know what I'm saying? Or at least I'm d- I'm doing some real shit. Plus that I'm paid and I'm going to see other places. And these things you gotta kind of accept. And it sounds kind of messed up, but like realistically, you know, the biggest thing is always get out your way, bro. Get out your way. Get out your way. It's only you stopping you from doing what you want to do in the sense
Exactly.
of how is somebody gonna see you? I've ruined relationships because I was like, oh, I don't want no girl picking me up. Like I'm just you can't help my girlfriend's not gonna help. Now I'm like, bro, if somebody wanna help a little bit, let them help. Like what I'm saying.
Let them
Like I
help
really
them.
wanted to tell the nigga,
Exactly.
just check. Like if somebody's really digging you and people are really digging what you're doing or anything, man. Like my homies that have invisible disabilities or just are oddballs in their own right, or they don't have a disability physically or mentally or invisible at all. They support what I do, right? They
Yeah.
really do. Like they carry me across, whatever. And what it is just getting out of your way and finding your tribe.
All right. Well, I hate to stop you, but we've gone a little bit too long. I want to ask you now that we've heard your stories, what are the goals for Dominic? What goals do you have that you want to accomplish and you want people to hear
Well,
in this interview?
well, one of my goals right now is just to get back into the disabled community as an advocate. My other goal is I've been working on some albums, some projects musically, where I'm really trying to focus on how to, I have an opportunity to be one of those great MCs. I've been
You
making
do.
my way. At, I've been making my way in the underground, and been meeting a lot of people that have connections to some bigger things, but I really want to do it in a way that is accessible and that it's approachable for anybody because my audience is going to be disabled, my audience is going to be everybody, so I want people to digest the art in any shape or form. If that means me putting subtitles on on my songs for people that are hard of hearing just to read the bars and probably feel the vibration, or maybe something specifically for people that are visually impaired, or anything of that nature, and I want to make sure that like I want to find a way to do an accessible tour where I go to venues that are physically accessible for me to be on stage, and for disabled people to have a comfortable space so they can rock out with me. You know what I'm saying? Like this is who I am. I'm not gonna shy away from who I am. And I want to travel the world, bro. Like I got some homies from overseas that are doing some things, and I'm just trying to live life, man. And I'm living it to the fullest of my abilities until I can't no more. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
So,
yeah. I hope you really, really accomplish those dreams. And not because you're here and I want to kiss your ass, man, but I really am a fan of you. I watch your videos all the time of you just freestyling in your room, and I love them. So whenever that album or that mixtape comes out, let me know because I'll listen to it.
oh yeah, man. I got some things coming. I got some things coming in the works. Yeah, I just talked to a couple homies yesterday about some stuff. Like, like I'm always working, man, even when I'm
Yeah,
quiet. So it is
yeah.
what it is.
That's why I appreciate you coming out here and sharing your story with us. This is a
I
question I
appreciate that.
thank you. This is a question that I ask all my all my guests on here. And if you were to change something about you, if you were to be born again, would you change something about yourself? Tell us if if you do, tell us why, and if you don't, tell us why.
At this point in my life, man, I've accepted who I am in disability because I look at it like this: if they gave me a magic pill that got rid of the CP, I would still think, move, and act like a disabled person. What I mean by that is I'd probably be a better advocate because I'd be like bitching out people to be like get that accessible and this and that. I'd probably be way more of an advocate because at some point in your life, and I'm not gonna say this for kids, but I'm gonna say this as for the teenagers and the adults. if they gave you a magic pill tomorrow, what would it really change? You would still see the world as a disabled person, right?
Yeah.
Because you were a disabled person for so long. So all it would change is your access. But would you use that access to change the things around you? You probably would. And just be comfortable with yourself. Right, if the good creator or whatever in the universe made me this way, it's for me to show the way, and I'm built the way I'm supposed to be.
Mhm. Yep.
Even though the hardships and pain, we show light and maintain, right? So,
Yeah.
you know
That's
what
a
I'm saying? Like,
that's a perfect way to put it, man. That's something that I always tell people. We have a purpose in life. We might not know right away what that purpose is, but we're here for a reason.
hell yeah, man. I appreciate you though, G.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you doing, G. Keep doing
Yeah.
what you doing, and I'll keep doing what I'm
Thank you,
doing. All
Dom.
right.
Thank you, Dom. I
All
wanna
right,
ask.
man. Thank
I
you for
wanna ask
man.
you. Wait, we're not done yet. Wait, hold on. I wanna ask you. Uh, if someone wants to find you to maybe ask you a question or hire you as an MC or as an advocate, where can we find you on social media?
My government, Dominic Harper at Facebook, or my Instagram, where I'm very, very active with more of the music happen. Um, at four wheels with the Z at the end. FORU. No, FOUR. Sorry, dyslexia moment. Other disabilities. You know what I'm saying? FOUR. WHEELZ 1313
All
at
right, and
Instagram. And
I got you because I got you on Instagram. I just wanted you to give yourself a tag on here, and I'll put everything in the description so you can go follow my dude. And Dominic, I wish you the best, bro. I don't want to cut contact here. I want to keep doing stuff together. I want to keep seeing you grow. Like I said, to me, you're like a guru. I remember our first time meeting, and you were like, I don't know what you're going to do, but you're going to do something special. And I built this podcast to bring on people like yourself, dude. I admire you so much, and I really, really encourage our audience to go check out Dominic and all his socials so you can see all the cool stuff that he's done and is going to be continued to do. I want to invite everybody to
I
subscribe, and we'll put on turn on the notification bell, and we'll see you guys on the next show. Peace out, Dom.
man, I appreciate you, G. Take it easy. Be smooth.